back, everyone. Welcome back to another edition here of the CranKy Ducklings review, Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 6. I'm Kojo's VIP. With me, I'm joined by the one, the only, the Scythian Sword Senseki, Kuro. Hello, Kuro. Hello.
Hello there.
Hello there. We are back with episode 6 of season 2 of The Bad Batch, titled Tribe. And very quickly here, we have been in a little bit of like a dip when it comes to the quality of the storytelling here, when it comes to episode 4 and 5 consecutively. But I would say personally that this is a step above what we have been experiencing. This is a significant step. Like this, I was like, oh, we're back. I was like, we're locking in, baby. Let's go. This was a pleasant surprise, a pleasant breath of fresh air. Considering just like the last 2 episodes that we've had, it's like, okay, well, we're locked in. Let's go. So yeah, definitely a much better episode than we've been experiencing these past couple of episodes. Fun fact: so this episode was directed by Stuart Lee, who was the same director as the racing episode, and it was written by Matt Michnovitz, who was also the same writer as as the racing episode as well. So actually, same director and same writer as the racing episode.
Which honestly, I think it showed a little bit because. Okay, look. Here's the thing. We mentioned that before, but after episode 3, like no other episode will be like we have to compare to that standard now. That's the standard you said, because you know it wouldn't be too far out of the norm, but because episode 3 happened, so now everything that's like more, I don't want to use the word lighthearted, but like that isn't like as serious. Just you know, it's more apparent because that one episode was just so serious. But at the same time, I said that just before we started recording. I actually not sure how I feel about this episode. It's definitely an improvement after the previous episode. I mean, we talked about we did not like the previous episode. Episode 4 was like, hey, whatever. So it's definitely an improvement.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I want to say that I liked it as in like, oh, it was a nice episode. It was really... I don't have that feeling either. I'm just somewhere in between.
I would take it a step further. I did enjoy this episode for sure. There are things that bothered me for sure, and I'm sure they bothered you as well. We'll get into it when it comes to the overall ramifications of the lore and of the universe that is Star Wars. But overall, like, it was great to see a lot more of a focused episode as well. It was a lot more focused. It was a fun. Initially, it was a cameo episode. So getting into the episode itself, we do come in with our team. We're like delivering some goods to whoever is willing to buy, I suppose, or we were contracted to do so, most likely by Sid. And this is where we come across a character that we have seen before in Star Wars, in Clone Wars, if you remember, and that is the Wookiee Padawan in the Clone Wars show that we initially saw actually construct his lightsaber for the first time. Was Gungi. Gungi is the character name, or Gungi. Sorry, Gungi. Not too sure.
They say Gungi.
The Gungi. So the reason why he popped up in my mind initially, and why he's a character that is a little bit more memorable, even if he didn't have the most to do in Star Wars Clone Wars, is because he's a rare sight. He's a Wookiee who's a Jedi, right? He's a Wookiee who's a Jedi who you don't see much of. And the last time we saw him, I believe, was in Clone Wars, where we initially saw the robot who's in the Ahsoka TV show, where that robot was like teaching all the young Padawans like how to construct their lightsaber. And he had his own little adventure. They had like some short story with all those Padawans as well. And with his return here, we're like, oh, he survived. Like, he survived Order 66. Like, he's still alive. And it's interesting just because, again, like, he's a Wookiee Jedi, and you know that's just rare to have.
It's memorable.
Yeah, it's memorable. It's rare to have. He's not the most memorable like character as in like personality or anything like that wise, but like just the aesthetic, you know, stays in your mind. It's like, oh, it's him. Let's go. It's cool. He's alive. He's back. And we encounter him. We save him. Apparently, he was already captured. Actually, he was already captured. And it was going to be, I guess, sold to the Empire most likely as a Jedi, as a Wookiee. And we go on a small adventure to bring him back to his homeworld.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have to remember like the time period this is happening at. This is like again, this is before rebels, before
Mhm.
any of that. Which and they specifically said that he's worth more to the Empire alive, which I think implies that like he would be part of the Inquisitors
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
if
yeah,
they
yeah.
got him.
Yeah, because if you remember, we already know this from previous stories that we've experienced. Is they have that like Inquisitor like brainwashing like place, right? Where I say brainwashing, like that they have like their own Inquisitor like tower where they bring
Basically
fallen
convert
Jedi.
people to
Yeah, yeah, where
Inquisitors.
they try to convert them into their order.
Mhm.
So our assumption is that it's related to that. So yeah, it was interesting to see him once again, and we go on a short adventure to I say short adventure. We go on an adventure here to bring him back to his home world, and I would say that this is a better example of so the difference between this episode and the previous one is that technically like this is its own self-contained one episode story. That is
Mhm.
true, but like this leaves threads open for later stories, of
Later,
course,
yeah.
but also it does expand on the world of Star Wars as well,
Mhm.
far more so than the previous one, which was more vague. And again, like it ended and began because they like activated the
Yeah, I
machine,
mean,
they
again,
destroyed the machine, and they just moved on from that. So like here, like there was a lot more going on. There are a lot more stakes. It was a more cohesive story.
yeah, but also like this whole like uh, the place and the events is like more integral to the world of Star Wars rather
Yeah,
than like, oh, it's like Planet X, it's like not on
yeah,
any map and like
yeah,
nobody's gonna be here
yeah,
ever kind of.
yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, like it actually like even though like this is like a small thing, like it has an impact on the like universe in
Mhm.
general in some way.
For sure, for sure. But this is also where we come into maybe an issue of the episode is that at least up until this point in the new canon of Star Wars, as far as we knew, it's very similar with Zeb and the Lasat, right?
Mhm.
There's obviously that he's like a stand-in for a Wookiee when it comes to rebels, and the Lasat are a
Mhm.
stand-in for Wookiees in general. Where there was a genocide, right? We saw that in Star Wars
Mhm.
Episode 3, where all the Wookiees were essentially killed, except for like a handful of them, except for Chewbacca. There was like the one with Chewbacca as well that helped save Yoda. And that's that's also meant to be one of the reasons why in future Star Wars episodes and future Star Wars movies and content and just media, there are no Wookiees, period, except for Chewbacca,
Mhm.
right? Like just because the assumption is that he is like one of few that survived that, and everyone else is dead. That's what makes him special, and that was explained in the previous lore and in the prequels especially. And then we come into this, where I thought that that's what was going to be emphasized here, is that they're going to go to the planet, and this would be a good setup for what they tried to show previously, where they go there and it's like a barren wasteland, right?
Mhm.
There is no forest anymore. It's all just ash and destruction, and you have to deal with the fact that your planet was destroyed, your family's gone, everyone is gone, and you have to try to find your own place in the world instead. They even
Mhm.
in the lead up to going to the planet, they even mentioned like I think it was Tech or Echo was like on a like we're checking readings on the planet. There's like heavy deforestation, like there's
Mhm.
like limited life on the planet and all this stuff. And then they go there, it's just a jungle. It's like
Yeah, I was gonna say like it did not feel like what they said
hmm
that it is.
Yeah, like immediately there's like a weird disconnect where they're like setting up the
Mhm.
idea that this is like the same, like you would imagine that the same thing that happened here in on Kashyyyk would have been the same thing that happened like on Mandalore or on like Geonosis, right? Like you get the impression that maybe not the same way, but like you get the impression that it's going to be completely destroyed, and then you go there and there's still like lush jungle, and there's still like
I
flora
mean,
and fauna and
I
uh,
would say maybe like look, I watched the what is it? The Revenge of the Sith
uh
like once on
uh
a TV in somebody's house
yeah
when I was like, I don't know, 13. I don't remember.
uh
I have no idea what happened in that movie,
okay
okay?
okay
I will say that now. So
okay.
I actually don't know what happened to Kashyyyk. I know there was a battle there,
It's just
but I
everyone.
do not know
It's
I don't
basically
know
everyone
what the
died.
connection.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so but like but my point is like, did they just fight the Wookiees and the Wookiees lost, or did they actually destroy the planet? Because those are two different
They
things.
didn't destroy the planet. You can like like headcanon wise, you can make up your own lore in the sense that because this is so no, not even. I was gonna say because this is so because this is so close to the Empire Rising, like they're not at the level of like, you know, nuking planets and you know, scorched earth, you know, just like nothing left sort of thing. I was gonna walk back on that and be like, oh, but they did that to Geonosis. But if you remember, lore wise, they did that after the Death Star was built, right? Like they forced them to build the Death Star first,
like
and then
Geonosis took part in building the Death Star.
yeah, and then it's after that they then like eradicated the planet sort of thing. And when it comes to the fall of Mandalore, again, that's later as well. So you could argue that it's later that the Empire started doing that, and this is like, you know, pre that, you know, level of devastation and destruction. So like you can make an argument that like it makes a little bit more sense that there'd still be like jungle left over, but at the same time, then why would they set up on the way there? They're like, oh, like it's, you know, there's not much left. You know,
No, see,
so that
I
sort
think
of
the
thing, right?
problem was that like it makes sense that the jungle would be there, but like I feel like they have to show the distraction that already has been happening, because all this they shown was like, oh, you know, like one hut was burned down basically. Because
literally.
I thought when they were showing that part, I thought they were gonna be showing like, you know, like kilometers of just burnt forest. It was like a wasteland, like in that specific
It was just a
spot.
house.
But if you look past that house, like you can clearly see the greenery right behind it. So like literally just the village itself that's being burned.
So the issue here is that they just did a very poor job at showing the destruction of the planet that they tried to set up, to the point where you believe watching this episode that the planet's fine, right? Like because they didn't show any of that, right? They showed a burned house and that's it. So it's there's like a conflict in what they're trying to portray when it comes to the state of the planet. They're telling you one thing, but they're showing you something else, right? And that there's I would say a bad disconnect there, which to me took me out of it, just because of the history and lore that we know, and because of what we're even just told in this episode. If they want to retcon it, they can retcon it. But even in the episode, they try to tell you, they're like, no, this planet's gone. You know, like they try to set that up, and then they go in a different direction. So again, like when I get back, originally I thought the story was going to be that, you know, the planet is a desolate wasteland or something, and he's on his own because before this Wookiees were meant to be extinct basically, and that he would have to try to find, you know, a home and family and direction and some kind of motivation in life elsewhere, and it would be like a story following that. But no, apparently there we encounter as we go there, apparently there are like Wookiee hunters or bounty hunters or hunters that are hunting down surviving Wookiee, and apparently we find a Wookiee, then they take us to like a whole village of Wookiees. It's like, oh
yeah, to be fair to them, like there were not many people in that village.
No, but if you listen to what they said, when you find them, they then say that, oh, there are other villagers out there. They've just hidden themselves further in the forest. So they insinuate that there are even more Wookiees, but they're in like smaller, like segmented tribes that are often hiding. So like they even verbalize it there again, the fact that there's actually like a decent chunk of Wookiees left. They're just all in hiding, and they didn't get genocided, and there's actually plenty of Wookiees everywhere, which is conflicting with the idea that, again, originally there were meant to be almost none left. That's why, and that's meant to be the reason as to why in future media you don't see any more Wookiees, because they're meant to be basically gone. But now here they're kind of retconning that and be like, oh, actually, like there are enough Wookiees here to the point where if we really wanted to, we could reintroduce Wookiees later, and like we've set that up, that apparently all these have survived, and we can have Wookiees in later media and later movies and stuff, and suddenly
to be
like,
fair,
there's more available.
To be fair, Rebels did have Wookiees. They were also like, you know, smuggled as like kind of rare find kind of thing, but like there was like, I don't know, maybe 20 of them, and like that was just, you know, those are the Wookiees.
Sure, but this makes them less rare, right? Like this
yes,
goes
yes,
along.
That's what I mean.
This goes on what you.
It just feels like it's not as serious as they originally portrayed it as.
Yeah, and that's a negative thing overall, because it's the same thing with like Zeb and the Lasat, right? Like if what if they did this with the Lasat, where it's like, oh, actually there's like hundreds of Lasat. They survived. They're like in small pockets of little villages, and it's like, well, that just takes away from the character. It takes away from like this backstory in the story. It just takes away from from the tension or from the world, the destruction that was set up previously, right? It just takes away from that. If you suddenly learn that actually, right, there's more Lasat out there, and it means less for Zeb to be one of the only last remaining survivors. If that isn't true, right? Like it's the same thing here with the Wookiees, or it would be the same thing in this like theoretical world where they suddenly introduce like a whole like village or planet full of Lasat. It's like what? So it's a really weird decision that was made here, because it is a decision that was made here, right? Like this is the first reintroduction of Kashyyyk, and it's like like there's Wookiees all over the place. It's like well, that's kind of weird. Like that doesn't because this also retroactively makes it make less sense that we see less Wookiees in like other forms of media, because that was meant to be the explanation why we rarely saw them is because they're meant to be all dead. It's like apparently not. It's okay.
I mean, you could say that like they just like, because they're in hiding, they just like don't really, participate in the social life of the galaxy, to put it that way.
Well, kind of. Like as I said, like the reason why they're doing this is because they leave the door open now to introduce more Wookiees later.
Yeah,
like that's why they did it. It's like the same as like bringing Ventress back to life. It's like now they can use Ventress again. Here now they can use Wookiees again, whereas previously they couldn't because of the previous lore that was set up. And now this is like a quote unquote retcon where it's like, oh, no, actually there are plenty of Wookiees, which means we can use Wookiees later, like if we really want to.
Okay.
And that, like, I would say that takes away from what happened here, because now it's like, okay, like now what happened in Kashyyyk is less serious, right? Now it's less. It means less now, which is unfortunate. And that's kind of like the big takeaway that I have from this episode. I will say that the episode was done well, but like that's in the back of my mind where the ramifications of this episode means like, okay, like now, it just takes away from some of the lore that was previously set up. As I said, it'd be the same if they like reintroduce like a planet full of Lasat, or like a planet full of like
I like how you say that, but when there literally is a planet full of Lasats in real life.
Yeah. That's what I mean. But like that like bothered you, right? It's like that shouldn't be the case, Like it shouldn't. Like they shouldn't be as common when you initially set up that they're a little bit more rare, right? Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of a shame when it comes to that like looming in the background, but when it comes to the story itself, like I think it was well done. Like the setup and payoff of like showing the local fauna, right? The local like spider creatures and stuff like that, and they have to be careful around them, and they're not going to attack them because the Wookiees, like the Gunji is like native to the planet, to the world, or is able to communicate with them in some way, so they will move through. That pays off at the very end when they use them, of course, to fight the hunters that are there as well. They also set up, but it is still a little bit weird that like, why are the Empire contracting these guys when they could just do it themselves? Or like, why did it's still there's a still weird disconnect here, that why didn't they just go full scorched earth? But as I said, like I guess you can try to say that like
they're not contract Trandoshians for this.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like they're almost like another party. They're like mercenaries. So like, why would you contract mercenaries to do your work and have stormtroopers there as well? Because they had both. Actually, I don't know if they were stormtroopers or clone.
Yeah, they were clones.
But they had both.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird. It's a weird. There's a weird like setup here to the episode, or weird.
Maybe like it kind of seemed like this wasn't very important to them, so they just sent whatever on this mission.
But it's weird because Kashyyyk was set up as being very important, right? Like it was meant to, like, when it came
that's
to...
That's my point. Like this feels like this was like, oh, like yeah, whatever. Like Bob can do it. Send them, whoever.
Yeah, you get the impression that Kashyyyk should have been important enough to be taken a little bit more seriously, or to get a little bit more attention. So it was a weird decision made here. But when it comes to the story told, like it was nice kind of seeing everyone get involved. Like once again, Wrecker gets a lot of love here. He gets to be a Wookiee. Sort of thing.
Yeah, he
right?
gets to be a Wookiee, literally. He's enjoying himself.
Yeah, and it fits with the character, right? It's good.
Yeah, he genuinely enjoys himself there.
Yeah. You have Hunter, who I wouldn't say that he gets a lot of focus here, but he's like, nah, like I would say that he's maybe the member of the Bad Batch that probably gets the most amount of attention here, where he's like leading the party and he's got his own things to say as well. Like I think
He's
he was
actually
used well.
leading the party.
Yeah, he's actually leading the party here as opposed to the previous episode. Like, so I think they used him well here, which was nice. I will say that Echo was maybe the odd one out. I will say that Echo and Tech were underutilized this episode. Tech at least was able to translate and he was able to add some commentary, but very, very light use of Tech and Echo here, which is a bit of a shame. It's understandable because the episode is focusing more on the new Wookiee character, on Gunji, right? And on the other Wookiees, and it's focusing on that story. But it does mean that some of the other characters kind of fall by the wayside a little bit here. Which is similar to the I guess the racing episode, right? Where Wrecker was like underutilized.
I don't know how much I like how involved Omega is in things, to put it that way.
Yeah.
We're like it kind of feels like it's like Omega's adventures and the rest of them kind of following sometimes.
I think it was very apparent this episode because she was the one that noticed the Wookiee and went off to, well, not even like she was like the vibe is off here. Let me just go like vibe check.
No, listen.
And then Echo's like,
here's the thing. No. I would actually argue about this because this is one of the things I wanted to critique. I did not like that part where they had the ship, and Omega is like, "This place feels off," and Echo is like, yeah, you're right. I'm just gonna prep the ship." And what does Omega do at that moment? Does she listen to the commands, the orders that she was given by Hunter, which we went over this, that she's supposed to listen to him? No, she just goes off on her own because she learned nothing.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
that was
I understand she is a child, she will do that because she is a child. But like I feel like at this point we had enough growth to where like she would actually like feel responsible for what she's doing instead of just going off on her own.
I agree. Like Omega at the very beginning of the episode, that was, I would say, probably the lowest part of the episode, just because, again, like at this point in the story, like Omega's actions and her just what her decision making there and her actions make less sense, because you'd expect her, especially when they're on a mission, to like follow their lead. And for her to go off and do her own thing, and then for everyone to like follow that as well, and for there to be no ramifications either. Like it's a bit of a shame, and hopefully this doesn't happen too much. Like this has been kind of flowing through the entire season a little bit, but I would say that here, like, that was maybe the most apparent of that. Maybe the most egregious moment, just because you can explain it away in other episodes.
Yeah, but also like it's kind of like they give it and take it away. As in, they have that scene where like you have Omega talk to Echo, and Echo is like treating her like a partner in the team, and he's like, "No, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna go do a task that actually helps us." And Omega tells nothing; it just goes off. That's what I mean. That like at first it seems like, oh look, they actually like are trusting each other. And then Omega just does irresponsible things because Omega.
Yeah. It's one of those things where hopefully they stop doing that this season. Moving forward, we'll see. Like it's a very lazy way to have the plot progress forward, is having Omega act in this way, whereas you can make this a little bit smarter, right? Like as you said, like you can make her listen to Echo, and then you can just have something else occur that gets her attention, and then together they can like make the decision to like investigate and move forward and things of that nature, right? Like you can,
I mean, not even that, but more so than that, like because she was supposed to like both of them were supposed to guard the ship, like when Echo goes in to like make the ship ready for departure, like just have Omega patrol around, but like around the platform, instead of her just like going off around the station or whatever it is. And just like make her like see it like by accident, just like as she's patrolling around, so she's actually doing her duty, but she still like gets involved in something else, and then she like can call Echo for help or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like there are better ways to have everything kind of begin and the story and the plot kind of like kick off instead of just having her randomly like go off and not listen to like orders. Like there are better ways and smarter ways to actually have that engagement begin. Which is why I said it was like it's just very lazy. It's very lazy to just have her just wander off randomly, which kind of goes against like the kind of character that you're attempting to build up as a part of a team. So for sure, like that was again, I would say like the most egregious part of the episode was that. But outside of that, like yeah, I liked like them interacting together, like exploring the worlds, coming up with a plan to engage with the Empire, I suppose. The Wrecker moments, he was having fun, like I think it was even that he was just mimicking the Wookiees at one point during the fight. I was like, yeah, sure,
He was
why not?
posing like
Yeah.
a Wookiee during the fight.
Yeah.
I noticed that because I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, nah, yeah, it's Wrecker. Like it fits with the character. It's good. It's fine.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Uh,
I want to say though, correct me if I'm wrong, but was the opposing party like 2 tanks and like say 10 people?
mm-hmm.
Is that the entire threat that we are facing here? Because that's what it felt like.
That is what it felt like, and that's again like that also pushes the idea of like what's like they're trying to say that this world is being taken over and destroyed, but at the same time there's only like a small group of units here.
Yeah,
Like
it just felt like if really there is as many Wookiees as we are now made to believe, I feel like they could just take them.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't it didn't like throughout this episode it didn't feel to me like the threat was big enough where Wookiees couldn't do it alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that goes back to how we began talking about this whole Kashyyyk incident or situation, is that they're telling you one thing and they're showing you something else, right? They're telling you that they're being oppressed and hunted down and they're on the brink of being eradicated, but they're showing you like a lush planet, they're showing you like minimal soldiers, they're showing you that there are mercenaries instead of the Empire doing it themselves, like they're showing you like all this stuff. Like it's just that there's just a weird clash of ideas here where it just doesn't fit, and it makes you, and to the point where it stands out and it makes you think about it during the episode, and it takes you away from what you're trying to experience.
Like it feels like the stakes are just much lower because you don't feel like the characters are actually in danger. But also like there was when there was the whole scene where the team decided to stay and like to help the Wookiees. I'm like, okay, so like the morning comes, there's gonna be like an entire army waiting for them, and they're gonna actually have to like figure some stuff out so they can defeat them. And again, there's like 2 tanks and 10 people. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
They were really not necessary.
And you can't even say that it's like, oh, maybe like they can't like show like a force that intimidating like budgetary wise, animation wise, but like they've done that already in this season. Like they've already shown like these bigger forces and these bigger companies in previous episodes. So like yeah, it's really weird how they decide to portray everything happening in Kashyyyk here. And again, like it's just clashing with what you're being told and the situation that is supposed to be presented, and it's just yeah, there's just a weird disconnect. There's just a big disconnect happening there, and that goes against like the story that's being told. Overall, I still think it was much better than what we've had up until now, these last 2 episodes for sure. But as I said, like when it comes to affecting the overarching Star Wars universe, like I don't think I like it. Like I don't think I like the decision made here to allow Kashyyyk to be like a lush forest again, and to bring back the Wookiees. Like I would have so much preferred what I said at the beginning, where you have the Wookiee be alone instead and tackle that kind of problem instead. But I guess they just leave him, and now he has like a new tribe and village. It's like, okay, like
yeah, he's just a Wookiee, and he just lives there.
Yeah.
Will we ever see him again? Who knows?
We can. Now we can. So whatever they want. You can use them later. He can even show up in a movie later on as well, and it's like, okay, like it fits, it makes sense.
Yeah, he could.
So
I was gonna say he would be the first animated character to show up, but no, the title goes to Zeb. So,
Well,
shout out to Rebels. Zeb, the first animated character to show up in a movie.
no, it's technically Ahsoka. Like in
Ahsoka
Sabine.
was never in a movie.
Oh, in the movie. Oh, true.
In a movie.
Yeah.
In a movie.
Sorry, I
Zeb is the first animated character to show up in a movie.
Yeah. Probably.
No, 100%. I don't think any other characters that were like strictly from the animated shows. I don't think they showed up in the movies.
Yeah. Crazy.
I mean, to be fair, most movies we've had were also like way later than all the animated shows, so they couldn't really.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the title goes to Zeb, so
yeah. He made it. He made it onto the big screen.
He made it
by accident.
I still don't know if it's any good, but he made it.
So yeah. With that was Tribe. The story ends with them leaving the Wookiee Padawan with the tribe of Wookiees, and you get the impression that he's going to be with them for the foreseeable future and help them rebuild and take back their planet and pull a Mandalore basically. But even then, it's like, what are they taking back from? Like, there's like, it's weird. Like, this doesn't seem like there's much of a presence of the Empire there.
You're being told one thing, but you're seeing the other thing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, you can, I think it's fine if the entire planet isn't like completely destroyed and there are still like some survivors. Like, I mean, there have to be because they appear later in some other media.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it didn't feel like the situation was as dire as we are being told it is.
Yeah. I think the way we're putting it is that they failed to show that, right? They failed to show to set up the stakes and to show like how oppressive the Empire is supposed to be, or how oppressive the opposition is supposed to be, and how dire things are for like the opposition, and that's something that they definitely did fail at. Which is unfortunate because that's the core part of the story, right? Like that's the core foundation of the story being told. So on that side it was unfortunate. But again, I still like for the story that was told itself, like I still enjoyed it for what it was. But yeah, there are definitely ways that this could have been done better. And as a whole, as I mentioned, like I still don't like the idea of them bringing back Kashyyyk and bringing back all the Wookiees. Like I still don't like that in the overall grand scheme of Star Wars.
Yeah, I would say it was like average, maybe slightly above average, depending what we're counting average from. But like, it wasn't an amazing episode. It wasn't a bad episode either. It was okay.
Yeah, for sure. It was a step above what the episode 4 and 5. that's what's important. We're on the road. We're going up. We're going back up.
Yeah, on the road to recovery. Yeah.
Yes, we're recovering. Let's go.
I mean, look, after episode 5, like we can only go up, right?
It's true. It's very true. That was the lowest point of the season so far.
That was 100% the lowest point, and I hope it was the lowest point of this season.
For sure. But yeah, with that does wrap up our coverage of episode 6. So very mixed opinions here. Some good, some bad, for sure to take away from it. But again, a step up from what we've recently been experiencing when it comes to the Bad Batch. And look forward to the rest of the season, as I believe that does reach us. We're more than a third of the way through. True. More than a third of the way through at this point. So with that, we're going to be seeing you guys for episode 7 for the next episode. Otherwise, take care. Hope you enjoy yourselves, and definitely do recommend checking this out. If you remember, I think the last one I was like, yo, you can skip episode 5 and you'll be fine.
Skip episode 5. There was no value there.
I think this is one for sure to catch up on, just because I do think it's an important episode nonetheless. So when it comes to Kashyyyk, when it comes to Wookiees, like I do think there's a little more weight and importance behind this episode more than the other. So definitely worth checking out.
But also, I mean, again, like as you said, like the characters were used there. Like we had Hunter like comment on things again. He actually took part.
Yeah,
in what was
the characters were utilized in a much better way here, for sure. 100%. for sure.
And again, we actually had Hunter like talking about Omega as well, which hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that. Like, I think Hunter, he had a bigger role here, not the biggest, but a bigger role than we have in quite some time.
He was actually a leader and a dad, because he is kind of Omega's dad. That's the thing.
For sure. For sure.
It feels weird saying that, considering they're technically siblings. Look, it's complicated.
I mean, like, it's like technically yes, but he also matured much faster, so it's different.
Yeah. It's like.
But with that, we'll be seeing you for the next episode. Till then, ciao.
Bye.